please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's Log, Subdates 230102.4. The new year has officially been rung in with vast amounts of debauchery, in my mind, and some much needed crew-wide brain freezing. And as a suitable beginning to 2023, I've given the entire NPC crew lobotomies. Hello everyone, welcome to 2023 and back to another video. For another video? You know, it doesn't matter. I thought I'd start here, because it gives us a fantastic platform to start with the following message. Doxing is wrong. Please don't do it. I at least every year, once a year in fact, have to say this. I said it in December last year, I said it 2 years prior, I said it 2 years before that in fact. I was hoping for a 2-year gap every time. But Tenbarge, the gatekeeper for journalism, real journalism, and hyper-focusing and overthinking on every single tiny little minute point that is absolutely asinine, can't help but think herself above the rules. This is important. If you are newer to the internet, or you've been here for a while and you just don't know, doxing is the sharing, releasing of private information that was otherwise not known. Doing it on a very open and well-known, well-used and big platform, so much so that you could intimidate your opponent or those you'd otherwise disagree with because you don't want their criticism, you can't handle their bants because you just can't think of a better solution that doesn't involve you turning them into somebody who could end up getting swatted because of your stupidity. Swatting, if you don't know, is when the police show up at your house with guns. Because somebody will call the police, for the lols no doubt, thinking that by doing this, they are performing a civic duty for the internet. Notoriety garnered, and then the inevitable fall, if that does happen when someone gets hurt, of the internet getting clamped down on even harder. And while the edgelord who does it thinks that they don't care, the reality is once they start losing everything, they can claim they don't care, but they really do because they'll have literally nothing else beyond being a living, sentient, black-pilled boomer. So, Tenbarge, you're a dickhead, a gatekeeping dickhead no less. Someone that looks down on the internet because you believe commentators on the internet aren't real journalists and therefore do not have an authoritative voice and should not have an authoritative voice when it comes to detailing what is going on in the world, when it comes to reporting on what is going on in the world, when it comes to having deep philosophical thoughts from somewhere in the world. It is my firm belief that Tenbarge, being the disingenuous hack that she is, solely believes that the only thing commentary YouTubers are permitted to speak of, without being questioned with regards to any level of legitimacy, would be on whether or not someone's fart smells more volatile than another's. Which, considering half the trite tripe that she produces for NBC, this wouldn't be much of a reach at all. Although, much like those that have worked for the Washington Post, I have some advice for you if you want to make it in the world, Tenbarge. Learn to code, ya salabetch. So now we've got that out of the way, I have a whole slew of tweets for us to go through. This is glorious, everyone. What a cracking way to start the year. I was considering Leah Thomas. I'll save that for tomorrow, I think. We can then use the tweets and everything else that's relevant to decide whether or not Tenbarge is a doxer, and by extension, whether or not Tenbarge is worthy of the vitriol and valid criticisms I am going to levy at her. Consider that foreshadowing. Originally I saw this because I Stand With Laura B was trending on Twitter. I, for the life of me, had no idea who Laura B was. According to Lou KB, I stand with Laura B as she is a intelligent, kind, honest, and has worked hard for years to support Johnny Depp and research the truth. She is a Depp fan and is passionate about his music, art, and films, but she supports him because he is both a survivor of DV and a victim of false accusations. And based on many other subsequent tweets, I get the distinct impression that Laura B is held in high regard. Tenbarge sits on the fence in the sense that sometimes she is considered credible, other times she's considered a hypocrite. Take, for example, in 2016, that terrifying moment when you see a young man on campus wearing a Donald Trump shirt and you're afraid it's not for sarcastic purposes only to later the Trump White House archived and a picture with Trump. Interesting. Very interesting. I guess some people will do anything to get to the top, won't they? Now, Back on topic though, that umbrella guy tweeted Kat Tenbarge just put the bullseye on Laura B's family. She publicly mentioned her husband, and all because Amber Heard's team hates her. Insane when mainstream journalists target your families because you read court documents. Kat Tenbarge replies, sure did. This is him. Now for the sake of it, this information is publicly known. It has been for a while in fact. However, and this is where the issue resides really, Kat Tenbarge, being the disingenuous hack that she is dragging others into the argument as a rather weak tactic that can only be closely resembled to that of someone knowing a demon's true name. Oh, I know you, therefore I have power over you, and if I don't, because I've not told my audience not to, they'll just harass you. But it's because the information's publicly available, some of it is anyway, that it's totally okay. It's not okay. It is never okay. Andy Signore replied, Kat, we can disagree all day on issues, but this is truly despicable. I would never post your family's information. It's not relevant. They didn't ask to be part of this conversation. It's disgusting to see you truly not care about privacy or consent. At NBC News should be ashamed. Another tweet underneath, a thread even, that got my attention concerned Cheryl and Lupine, Cheryl, at Twitter support and at NBC News. Do something about this journalist is doxing family members of people she disagrees with. She already regularly doxes those she does not agree with and now is going for family. This is so dangerous. Underneath, for the record, the information relating to Laura B is married to, who has been a matter of public record for some time. A retweet of The Geek Buzz. Apparently, Johnny Depp propagandist Laura Bockoven, who has received a cease and desist letter for allegedly libeling someone, is married to a Trump associate. Surprised? Continuing. Interesting how they huff and puff and get their undies knotted over you identifying a link between a Depp supporter and Trump, the same Depp head that got herself a cease and desist for targeting an innocent woman online in fact. Of course, the information is already in the public forum and Twitter rules do not state that this kind of information is private. With Christy Sustrick replying, what on earth is wrong with you? These are real people with real lives that you are putting in danger. Being a journalist for the public is a colossal responsibility. It's not like writing your thoughts in a journal at home. What you are doing can get people hurt. Tell me if anyone was seriously injured because of something you wrote. How would you be able to live with yourself? You're supposed to protect sources, not spit them out into a mob of torches and pitchforks. Do you lack empathy? And Evie Warner, at Elon Musk, please make it easier to select sharing private info and that doxes info previously unknown info. I figured out what to click on, but it isn't clear at first. The vast majority of those underneath agree what she has done, Kat Tenbarge that is doxing. It's arrogance, and it is doxing. And it also sets a dangerous precedent of a desperate journalist trying to cling on to some clout or authoritative position to justify this action. Either that or she thinks she's got some mad bants and likes to troll, which I don't think is the case. Not when you have bangs like that, please. Later on, that umbrella guy tweeted out, yesterday an NBC journalist doxed a woman's family for Amber Heard. Today, the same NBC journalist attacked Ellishka, a well-known victim's advocate because she's not at liberty to speak about Andrew Tate. Attacking women and victim advocates. That's NBC agenda. Mask off. Not at liberty can mean anything. I've been hit with a cease and desist, or I'm in current litigation. Anything. But Ellishka's words are given a specific meaning by NBC's journalist because Ellishka exposed MSN with Elon Musk's Twitter files. They cannot abide being exposed. Later tweeting, Kat Tenbarge claims an email as a representing of NBC without identifying information is 1. Private, 2. In good faith. Reality check. She wrote a hit piece on Johnny Depp supporters, but feigned neutrality. She lied. Doxing people like Laura's husband is malice for being exposed. The images accompanying it. Kat Tenbarge. Yeah, if I was reporting I would, but I've never reported on TUG. When I reached out to him for an interview once, he shared my private info in response, with TUG replying, so for the record, sharing your email without your email address attached where you're representing a corporation news agency is doxing, but what you did to Laura B in public article is not doxing. Underneath you will see an image, this image, which is the email but with no identifying information beyond her name, Kat Tenbarge. To which Kat then replied, "I never said you doxed me, Matthew. I said you'd shared private info, my email to you. It's funny that I reached out in good faith not knowing your history and you reacted by lying about me for months on end and I never even mentioned you. Where in that email image do we see private information? Because there's fuck all there, bitch. There's actually nothing there at all. Are you stupid?" I find it fascinating that Kat Tenbarge has gone from this culture, ethic, whatever kind of journalist type. Tech culture, was that it? One of those nonsensical areas where she hyper-analysed far too many little points that didn't matter in the slightest to make it seem like a grander point. Trying to seem smarter than you are, basically. To essentially being called up to the main roster from her developmental phase after playing Super Contrarian card for maximum damage, and losing all credibility in a heartbeat with the online sphere. Granted, she used it, and used it well, but in doing so, she is now a running joke. She will become a meme. In turn, Kat Tenbarge started trending, because, again according to TUG, she went full Taylor Lorenz, by using NBC to dox a woman and target her husband because Amber Heard simply hates her. And because of the lack of activity from NBC, it comes across as an endorsement. Many creators, many Twitter users called Kat Tenbarge out for this, because what she's effectively done is put a bullseye on Laura B's family. And it's quite fascinating to me because with no level of irony, Kat Tenbarge tweeted out somebody or retweeted someone else who has had issues with anxiety attacks due to swatting and solely used it to push the message of anti-Heard accounts. Most of Twitter is anti-Heard, so at this point, is it really an anti-Heard account? The rest of us just call it the court of public opinion that has not only a resounding majority, but a resounding monopoly. Why? Because she done goofed, bitch. And you know it. And the wannabe rogue from the X-Men trilogy lookalike that looks like absolute shite is pushing the wrong message here, picking a side and running with it because apparently there aren't enough journalists on the side of Amber Heard. Using the same tweet though, to then justify your doxing of Laura B and her husband. To which Andy Signore has had to point out, it's not easily searchable in the slightest. You revealed the full names of Laura B and Tug when they asked you not to. There's more underneath that and I don't care about that part. The point still stands, and I am right. It's still there online, which is what I said earlier, but Andy is right as well. It was not easy to find. You had to go looking for it. You had to go digging for it. By that logic, everyone's information is online somewhere, and that, because of your shitty mentality and tactic, is bad. Then again, I guess if you want to be a journalist, this is the kind of crap you need to do on a daily, and that's why your credibility, journalists as a whole, is going down still. It's rarely come up. It's not seen the moral high ground in so long, not since the days of street criers. And even then, there were questions. When someone is on the losing end of an argument, you have two options. On Twitter, 3. The third is block. The first two invariably are regret and admit, make amends. The second is to double down like there is no tomorrow by shifting the goalposts. Now the issue really isn't that you're wrong, Kat Tenbarge, it's simply that you cannot admit you're wrong. That's the problem. You are wrong though, just because honestly, seriously, you're wrong. And so you and that umbrella guy and Andy Signore and others continue to have a back and forth underneath your taking the side of someone who is suffering from anxiety attacks because anti-Heard accounts. And it continued for ages with you claiming over and over again how Tug's information was already out there, how it got out there. But your gross misinterpretation of the facts and the information at hand shows just how disingenuous you are. And the desperate level of reach involved shows how you have really become a journalist. Congratulations. You can now continue to gatekeep on what is journalism, while the rest of us digest our information from other sources because we're sick of your ilk. Your kind are a dying breed. It's why there are so many layoffs at so many different outlets who've had to force feed subscription feeds or subscription costs so people can look at their news sites because people are done with it. Print is dying, and the, as I earlier said, asinine drivel that many of you produce is going the way of the dinosaur, the dodo, and DC universe.